Welcome, everyone, to this podcast, which is coming from a very small room in a small corner, deep behind the media lines of Tokyo. Thanks for tuning in. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Today's guest is Stephen Degg. We roughly talked about astrology, and I mentioned that I'm not really into it, but he knows a lot about it, and it seemed appropriate to talk about what this year means in terms of astrology, in terms of having a podcast. You know, it's Halloween. Let's talk about ghosts. It's the end of the year. Let's talk about astrology. So he's pretty well versed in it. And, well, you're going to learn about what astrology means to me, too, because that's what we talk a lot about me for some reason. Okay. I'll do this weekly reaction to what I'm seeing in, online, on the social medias. People always suddenly just, it's like John Oliver said, 2016 sucked, and now everybody else is going, 2016 sucked, just because a whole bunch of drug-addicted celebrities died. I mean, and they were old celebrities for the most part. Like, I just keep on thinking, like, why? When's the last time I opened up a book of Leonard Cohen poetry? I mean, that guy, yeah, he was a great artist, but why? I don't know. Of course he died. Of course all of those people died. Of course George Michael died. And why is it that they are always punished by the media their whole lives, and then when they die, all is forgiven? It's a very strange, and everyone laments, oh, the art, oh, the art. No, George Michael was a drug addict who had nefarious sexual dealings in public washrooms. Not that that's a bad thing, but that's what he's going to go down in history books for. So I don't mean to disparage them. I'm not disparaging them. I'm disparaging how people treat their deaths, as if suddenly everyone has some sort of personal attachment to George Michael. Okay. And this is also fueled by the media. And you know what? The media. I'm going to read through some headlines, okay? And these headlines are indicative of just how, not evil, but just how unseriously they try to treat very serious topics with jokes in the headlines. Here's one. Are cheetahs racing towards extinction? Because cheetahs are fast, so they're racing towards extinction. That's wordplay about an entire species possibly going away forever. Ha ha ha. How clever you are to put racing instead of our cheetahs are going extinct. Why does there have to be a joke about an entire species becoming extinct? Here's another one. Alt-right supervillain inks book deal. Sorry, get it? He inked a book deal. Not signed a book deal, because it's an alt-right supervillain. Alt-right in quotation marks, supervillain in quotation marks, and then using inks in relating to books and in relating to signatures. Oh, wow. How clever and how funny. So they're trying to inject these extinction, supervillain, but they use jokes. They use wordplay. Here's another one. Tongan Taekwondo star switches to snow. See, this is only this is only in the news because of the headline. The repetition of the T and then switching to the S. Right? Tallest Tongan Taekwondo star switches to snow. There's no reason why anybody needs to know anything about this. Here's another one. Cinnabon apologizes for tasteless Carrie Fisher tweet. Get it? Because Cinnabon makes food, and their tweet was tasteless. So that's, again, she died, and I'm I made fun of the George Michael, but I'm not making fun of. I'm trying to say all of a sudden everyone has something to say. So, including me apparently. So here we go. Cinnabon apologizes for tasteless Carrie Fisher tweet. So they're trying to be serious, but they also inject this wordplay into people's deaths, extinction, supervillains. And here's another one. Amazon holiday sales. Enough TVs to dwarf Mount Everest. Mount Everest is way bigger than a dwarf. And why would they choose the word dwarf for the highest mountain in the world? Is this just some sort of paranoid fear of height? No, I'm joking with the last one. But anyways, so if you are affected, but I'm not affected, I get angry because I look at this and go, you're supposed to be the most respected information sites. This is all from CNN, NBC, and what a lot of people end up reposting on the social medias, the medias of socials. And I don't know. So I wonder then if the people retweeting or reposting this are aware of the wordplay, and if they are do they agree with it or disagree with it? Because, or how do they regard the use of this wordplay? And why is it a question? Why is it always a question? Are cheetahs racing towards extinction? Question mark. It's like, oh, I'm so curious now because you made it a question. Why? Oh, click it. Oh, and then they don't. There has to be a lead, and there has to be all of this kind of. I'm the journalist, and I'm going to introduce this topic, but I'm only going to include a little amount of data, and it's going to be in the middle somewhere. And so, congratulations, you clicked on my article, and then I just made you frustrated by reading it instead of having data. Just give me the data. So that's this week's rant, and I'm not going to go much longer than that. I know I've been trying to promote the music scene here, and my equipment before that, it's kind of malfunctioned. I was going to play a Twin Peaks by Mickey Crickets. But I'll save it for next time because that just doesn't sound good enough. I have to respect the artist enough. So without further ado, set your goals for 2017. Do all that. I don't know. Do you get, I listen to a lot of radio, and sometimes I just wonder if people are just using the theme of the time as a way to fill time, right? Oh, I can talk about your goals for next year. Anyways, so when I am in the newspaper section, I can kind of choose what I want to look at. But when my friends share this type of stuff with me on social media, just be aware that you're shoving something in somebody else's face. I do it too. I'm probably doing it right now, to be honest. But just be aware of the fact that, do you want to contribute to joking about extinction? That's just, are cheetahs racing towards extinction? Right? That's my goal for next year. Just promote reckless propaganda via a podcast, a tiny podcast in a tiny room in the biggest city in the world that brings you insight into cultural life, what the expats are doing in Tokyo, long-term foreign residents. I don't really see any other outlets for that. So without further ado, let's bring in Stephen Degg. Thank you for listening. Happy New Year, and I hope you do what you want to do.
Said that I had to read the the muse would lose a friend. She cut my arm watching Twin Peaks. Said that I had to read the sign. It's been 3 months and I still have a scar on my arm and one in my mind. There's a scar on my arm, yeah, and one in my mind. It's been 3 years and I still have a scar on my arm and one in my mind. There's a scar on my arm, yeah, and one in my mind.
And we're recording. Stephen Degg,
Hello.
thank you for being back on the podcast.
Oh, pleasure.
Who are you, man?
That's what I ask myself when you ask me. Who am I?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, you're a local musician, but today we're coming to the end of 2016, year of the monkey.
Okay.
And going into the year 2017,
Right.
the year of the rooster, cock-a-doodle-doo.
Yeah.
And I noticed when you were on the podcast last time, you had like this sort of a working understanding of astrology, where
Right.
I would mention it, or you would mention it, but it wasn't just, oh yeah, I think it's something like this. Obviously, you've spent quite a lot of time with these astrology books.
Well, the book thing kind of came later. What happened the first time was when I was 10 years old, and I was at prep school, and there was an older boy, and he was about, I don't know what he was. He's from Australia, and he put up the lyrics to Aquarius. This is the dawning, and he explained it to me. Exactly. And I kind of thought, but it just stuck in. And then I don't know whether I continued it from there, 11, 12. At some point, I just, what age was it? I just started getting into it. And then probably in this country, I picked up a few books. There's one that I do for Chinese astrology. And years later, I discovered that, do you know Jude Brand?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know anything about any of this stuff. So
She's here in Japan.
Does she do this type of thing?
No, she just did the design for the cover.
Of what?
A Chinese astrology book.
Oh, a book. Okay.
So it was kind of my Bible for a little bit. But I've. What was your question about the book? Sorry,
I'm just trying to lead in as to why you're on the podcast. So you're on the podcast to
Right.
give us
Hello.
the astrology for this year and maybe the next year.
Okay.
I don't know. I figured it's the end of the year, and why not? So even if if the listeners are not really into astrology that much, I'm not either. But
Yeah.
Stephen Degg's put in a lot of working hours into understanding, and he has a lot of
To my chagrin. Yes.
yeah, so I don't know. We're just going to get into astrology
Sure.
and talk about that for today. Now, before we do that,
Yeah.
you said that you had a medical thing.
Well, yeah, because the last time, when did we do the podcast? Was it in June or May?
It was quite a while ago.
June or
Yeah,
May?
May or June.
What happened was that I think I didn't really get this next door, because as you can see, we're in the studio, and it's like a tatami room in here. But
Yeah.
next door, a friend of mine, he's brilliant. He set up a desktop. The sofa was rubbish, so I was sitting in a really bad posture for so long. I think it affected my leg, the back of my leg.
Sciatica?
Well, that's what I was thinking and asking. So, what happened was that later I went to a special place, whatever, specialist place, and they did a, I don't know, MLI, whatever it's called, thing, and he discovered that the one of the muscles on the right side was weak, probably because I was sitting around and because I'm left-handed.
Okay.
And left-footed, I guess. So I was probably not exercising I'm welcome for any soccer games, mate. So, yeah, I just had this kind of pain. I couldn't move, and it was just tiring. And
How
also,
long did
you
it
lose
last?
confidence. It lasted for quite a long time.
Months?
And then, I can't remember how long, but basically what happened was that then after that, I had a problem with my neck. And so what happened was I was still actively going out. I'm sorry. Prior to that, I would do sessions and things, but I just couldn't move, and I think it precipitated a low mood. So I kind of get cycles anyway, but it just meant that I just felt down. Then I started getting into, yes. So I think that all I can say is that
What was it?
it was just.
Is it a nerve thing, a muscle
Well,
thing?
they discovered that on the left side,
Yeah.
the disc had kind of, the muscle was pushing out, but it just needed exercise.
Oh.
Again, that could be because I was sort of hugging the computer for a very long time.
Right.
And so, I don't know, man, So what it meant was that I kind of got down and I started getting to computer games and doing it. I think that that's possible anywhere. But I think the thing about if you're living in Tokyo or a city, you feel kind of guilt because now with the internet as well, you're constantly communicating with people. If we're in the countryside, people would come round and they'd speak slowly and you'd see them again in a week. Life is slow.
How's it going there?
How's it going there?
Mr.
Would you like some
King?
ham? Yes.
Howdy, neighbor.
Fine.
How's the weather?
Weather looks pretty good today, mate.
And then, so you were down,
Yeah.
and then how'd you get better?
I just started getting better.
Just automatically? It was like an automatic heal? You didn't do exercise or take pills or go through some therapy? I don't mean mental therapy, but physical therapy.
Well, I do actually have pills, yeah.
Oh, all right.
So I
it was the pills that did it?
no, I think it's just what happens every year. I have a cycle. I have a cycle of energy, then calmness, and then low energy. But it's not kind of quick cycling. It's just a long period of time. But usually about 8-9 months, I'm fine. And then a few months, 2 months, it's sort of low energy. I think because of this physical problem, it speeded it up. And it meant for about 4 or 5 months, I was kind of not housebound. I was still doing things, but not feeling so good physically. And in fact, because I started feeling better, I started doing more movement and stuff like that. But the neck thing is just kind of still there. But if I keep, and I found myself feeling woozy, but basically I think because the mood rose, everything rose, because you get positive about how you see yourself and other people.
Yeah.
So I would just say to anybody, if you're suffering from this, whatever, and you feel I've got to see these people, and I say, no, you don't. That is a kind of madness that other people will accept what you do, but you don't really need to do that. And whereas I think in other parts of Japan or other parts of England, people just are there. But we kind of communicate before we communicate. Do you know what I mean? We're sending messages and they're coming back. And it's more like...
by the time we met today, we'd exchanged like 5 or 6 messages
Exactly,
already before seeing each other.
It's like no location.
I'm going to be 3 minutes late.
Exactly.
And then it's like, sorry, I'm going to be 2 minutes late after that.
Well, right.
Do we really need to do that?
We don't need to do that because I think what it is, it's... I've got this book somewhere and it's about non-location or something, meaning that when you... before, you would experience a place in real time. Now people can flick through things, even relationships, without actually experiencing it physically.
Right.
So that's why, like internet dating, people will fabricate something and then being disappointed with when they actually smell the person.
Not the way her ass really looks.
Yeah.
Guys,
exactly.
her ass won't look like that.
It won't look like that if it's photoshopped as it's happening.
No one advertises a real ass.
They don't. They really don't. I mean, but I am a real ass.
You are.
I'm an arse, a silly arse.
Silly ass.
Yeah.
So you just got better. There was no real thing that happened. Just got better.
I really don't know, man. You know, how is it that you know, again, we're going to go to astrology, but there are things outside of yourself and the way that you interpret things. So if you start creating a story of, well, this is what I was and this people, you may have no control over it. Because it could be somebody who gives you a trigger. It could be the time of the year, which leads to what we were talking about astrology. For example, this is the year. We're now in Capricorn. Capricorn is from end of December to January. It's an action sign, and you are Cancer, which is also an action sign.
Okay.
So it's good for marriage and good those things because there's a kind of empathy that you both have regarding that. Capricorn is an earth sign. You're a water sign, so it makes sense. The water is nurturing the earth,
Right.
Or the earth is there to have water. So there is that kind of feeling as well. I don't know what we said before that. I was just trying to get into astrology.
Yeah, no,
after
that makes sense.
Yeah, no.
So a lot of people have been saying that 2016 was a real shit year because like all of these musicians died, Leonard Cohen and Prince and all that. But I've been saying all year, what did you expect these fucking drug addicts to live ripe old ages?
Last time we spoke, you were saying that.
Yeah, and in addition, when's the last time you fucking opened a book of Leonard Cohen poetry? I'm not you specifically, but all these people who are saying, "Oh, the loss, oh, the loss." Well, how much money have you spent on Leonard Cohen, and how much money have you spent on Prince and all of these people that died this year?
Yeah.
But then you lament about it on social media.
I
as
think
if you
that
have
what's
some
happening.
sort of stake in this.
No, I think that what's happening through the social media is that there's a chance for a common link between people. For example, let's say George Michael. George Michael passed away. There was a certain
that guy should have died 30 years ago.
Okay, he says that, but what he doesn't know is that George Michael used to provide me with kebabs. He's Greek Cypriot. But
Really?
Yes. And two of my best friends are Greek Cypriot.
So you feel bad because George Michael died because he made kebabs for you?
He didn't really, but no.
Very literal. I'm sorry.
No, he made Doner Kebab. Doner Kebab used to be Donna Summer.
Bathroom?
In the bathroom. That was a long title for the album. So yeah. So what happened was that there are certain. I think when I went through a kind of when I reached 30, and you get kind of AOR, sort of middle age, not
AOR?
middle age. Well,
AOR?
no. Forget
What's
all.
AOR?
Well, adult orientated rock or whatever. I think that when I was younger, there was a certain thing, and then for peace, as you reach a certain age.
Does that mean you just you figured out what you're going to do and you become stubborn? Is that AOR?
No. Forget that word.
Okay.
I used an incorrect thing. I wasn't even thinking. I was just thinking on the spot. What I wanted to say was it was prior. It was pretty soon after I got married, and then being over here. So there's a sense of stability.
Yeah.
So I was not aware of a scene, a trend. I was just making songs, and I found myself doing stuff like Boy George or something, George Michael, a sort of not easy listening stuff, but kind of jazz chords and things, and going into that area. So when George Michael did his thing, I was kind of comfortable with that because it was reaching my age. I got the feeling that he's old before his time. And so when what else was I going to say about that? So my first not first gig, first thing I did was, I think I mentioned, for a music production company. I was working with a Japanese composer.
Yeah.
And then what happened years later, before I started working at the same school as Akemi, who plays she founds it with Orangey, with myself. There were people who...
Orangey's your band.
Yeah, Orangey's the band. And there were people who were about to leave the school. And when I went for the interview or the trial, I spoke to a children's teacher, and she mentioned, "Oh, you do music, there's a chorus group. I'll introduce you." So I was kind of, as I say, I was just relaxed what I do. And I thought, well, that's okay. So the three of them were Japanese, and we did Hairless Whisper. Hairless Whisper?
I have no idea what that means.
Well, I'm never gonna dance again. Dirty feet have got no rhythm.
Yeah, okay.
Careless Whisper, but I just
Sure.
say Hairless Whisper to appeal to the baldies. So I did that with, I think it was the Twilight Zone or Manhattan Transfer, whatever. So I kind of liked that, and also I was making one of the songs I put on the album with the composer I was working for was called Morning Lies, which again was a kind of George Michael feel.
Right.
So I had no realization or whatever until I discovered the Beat UK, which is at 2:00, and it showed Primal Scream, all those things, and I was like, oh, this is happening, and it stimulated my songwriting,
Right.
and completely focused on something else. So yes, so with George Michael, there's that, and then going back to what you were saying about people.
2016. I'm just thinking, a lot of people.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to finish off that thing
Oh,
about what you were
sure,
saying.
yes.
So the thing about people saying stuff about George Michael, I think what it is, it's that now I've got something where I can communicate with people, and I don't think they feel it or not, but it's, I think what we had this thing last time about grief,
Right.
and you were saying, whatever, the family's one thing, the guy was going to die anyway, so why are people doing that? But I think all it is that sometimes we can't celebrate death or deal with it. So if we talk about that, what people experience on Facebook is what it means to you, if it's genuine. So if somebody just puts up, oh, R.I.P., but
R.I.P. Carrie Fisher. She just died.
she just died.
But I mean, why does everybody have to announce that as if they're journalists? I mean, we're
don't know,
we're
man.
gonna find out.
I
But
don't know.
It's like there's like this weird obsession with.
I think it's social media.
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it?
I think it's social media. Because now everybody can be a critic. Now everybody can say it, which is a good and bad side. It's a one side where you don't get elitism of corporations, companies telling you what to do and feeding you stuff whereby you're just a customer, and there's respect for that. Now people can put up YouTube videos of them dancing and get thousands of hits simply because it's so... people can relate to it for their life.
Right.
So I don't think they're relating to George Michael. They're more related to the fact that they've said something innocuous, but it's okay. Because it wasn't a newspaper, so they can say, yeah, I feel the same way too. So I don't think they may feel the same way, but they're happy that they were given a like.
I think it started with Michael Jackson dying.
Right.
You're gonna have to finish that beer, and then these beers these are different ones.
Rick Wakeman, I don't know if you know Rick Wakeman of Yes,
And
he said, I don't have a drinking problem, I just pour it straight down.
Yeah, we got a few beers going, but so I think it started with Michael Jackson because the internet exploded when Michael Jackson died. Everybody knew
Really?
about it instantly. Everyone was like, "What the fuck?"
Is that so? I
Yeah,
didn't know
and so
that.
now I think it's just like a trend based on
Oh, okay.
based on how quickly events can spread.
Okay.
And people want to be the first to spread it.
I understand. And then going back to what you were saying about 2016, why is it that this year those people have died? I think there is a certain element whereby you're not saying it to anybody else, but you certainly have some affinity with what we would refer to as idols. But as you said last time, books, literature were your mentors in a way of what inspired you.
Yeah, I forgot about that. but
So
you're
I
absolutely
think
right. I did
for
say
me,
that.
I
It's
didn't
true.
expect that because on a personal level, and for you as well, during a period where I'm feeling healthy, being unhealthy has probably no relation to the whatever the time of the year is. It's a physical disablement. But okay, I'll go back to that actually before I go to the year.
Okay.
We went to the temple. I think it's the central shrine in Mie, or was it Kyoto? And I had one of those kind of, what's it called, omikoshi, or
Yeah.
one of those
Omikuji?
things. Omikuji, thank you.
Oh,
And
what is it? Omikuji, right?
well, it's like a kind of, if you think of fortune
Sure.
cookies, listeners.
Yeah.
This thing, hello, there is one, and it's us. We're split into two, one. And so what happened was that it said, everything's good, but you're going to have a serious illness this year.
Oh no.
So I kind of, what? But I don't know if that's related. But going back to what you said about 2016, on a personal level, the monkey, you're a monkey. I'm a rat. A rat, in reference to that, is meaning that I was born in 1961.
Wow.
There are a cycle of 5 elements of metal, water. Where are we going?
Metal, water,
earth,
Earth,
fire, and earth. No,
Earth.
let's do it again. Metal,
metal,
water,
water,
earth,
earth, fire.
wood,
wood,
fire,
and fire.
earth.
Okay.
So it all goes back. So the metal is lightning searching for something. The water is providing that security for the metal. The not for the then the water means you can grow a tree, which
Right.
is wood, and then it's set fire to and goes back to the earth, and the cycle repeats itself.
Okay.
So in Chinese astrology,
So that makes sense to me.
it does make sense to you, right? It's the cycle of the earth, of life.
Life and death. It was just another.
Oh, that's a good one. I never thought of it
It's just
that
an
way.
archetype. It's another way of
Oh,
describing
that's
an
cool.
archetype.
I never thought of it like that, about life and death. So, but it's true, isn't it? Death and reborn, or the,
Yeah.
the seasons
the
and
story
stuff.
of Jesus Christ. It's the story of Harry Potter.
Right. By Jesus' big fat cock. I agree with you. So, it's
Let me do the. I'll monitor as we go, bud.
okay,
Just
cool.
Do whatever you want.
I can't hear it now.
Oh, really? I can.
Oh,
So,
maybe I
anyways,
pulled out my thing.
no,
Yeah.
you're good. You're good. So, what is this whole the five? How do you can you relate those five?
They're most important
The most important elements to this year. Is there a way to do
to
that?
the history
to
of
2016 or?
Yeah, I'll go into that. So with astrology, with China's astrology, which came before what is known as Western astrology, Babylonian, was that what happened is that they initially, what they did was the cycle of 5. So metal, all those things, and then the story about the animals came after that.
Okay.
So, for example, I am a metal rat.
I am a metal.
You are an
I
earth.
am a rat.
Is a metal. I am a rat.
Metal
I am
rat.
So what happened was that last time we met, we touched on it because I said, okay, what are you? You said monkey, and I said, what, 1968? And you went,
No.
So that's where it came from. So
1980.
so you're an Earth. Then you're double Earth because you're Earthy Canadian, which is down to Earth,
Okay.
and you're also Earth Monkey.
Yeah.
You're the same as Tricky, Damon Albarn of Blur. So you share that sign. So that the monkey. Shall I just do this before we go to 216? So with Matt, you're the Earth Monkey. So 2016 should be a good year for you.
It was a great year for me.
It was a great year.
It was
for
an
you.
amazing year.
Yeah.
I built a school.
Yeah.
I played a TEDx event, and I released an album in 3 languages.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm a trilingual illiterate. I can't speak in 3 languages. So then you got something good out of it. And for me, prior to being physically ill, it was fantastic. So
Yeah.
for the dragons,
I'm glad you got better, by the way.
thank you very much. I mean, for the dragons and the monkeys and the rat, 2016 is a good year.
Dragons, monkeys, and rats.
Yeah.
So this was a good year for you, too, aside from the physical
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
Because the monkey, the rat, and the dragon are initiators.
Right.
So they initiate.
Provocateurs?
In your case, because the monkey is can adapt to anything, but also can be a bit tricky.
Yeah.
And tricky, as I said, tricky. His
There we
side is
go.
the monkey.
There we go.
And also, Damon Albarn had a project with his flatmate called Monkey, and Gorillas.
Oh.
That comes from monkey.
Yeah.
So that's what they do something like that. So monkey is really smart. At the same time, they never cheat you, but they want to get the best thing and do it. They're a little bit playful, but they're very smart. So they're very good at mirroring things and picking it up. At the same time, their relationship between a rat or dragon is, yeah, let's go, let's do it,
Right.
and we have fun together. So the rat will be sometimes a little bit, how should I say? The good side of the rat is that they love parties and communicating with people, and there's an earnestness. They're very, very sincere. So when you meet a monkey, you're appreciating their boundless energy. And the thing about the dragon, the dragons are fairly straight. They're magical, but they're very, very straight.
What's the last year for the dragon? Do you know?
I can't think offhand.
No. How
But-
many years is it different between a monkey and a dragon?
Oh, okay. Well, let's say I'm rat. Could you calculate? Could you count
Yeah,
it?
well, I'm 1980 monkey.
Can you count it now? If I just do it. So, for example, rat is, in my case, it should be 1960, but I was born at the end of the 1960, which is the Chinese New Year.
Okay.
So people over here in Japan, they take the Western characters. So they say, oh, January the 1st, but they're not. So somebody who thinks that they're...
Yeah, their celestial calendar is based on the lunar calendar in Japan, even though they're using the more modern calendar.
Well, that's
but-
so true. So what happens is that in fact it is they were on the lunar base, but because they took the Western one of this is now January the 1st, it means that they're off.
What's the current one called? It's not the Julian calendar.
Probably.
No, it's Julian calendar introduced the leap year, but it was the
Oh.
Georgian calendar. That's what it is.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So what happened was that in order to get to the difference between rat and monkey,
Right.
let's start from 1960. So 60. Do we start from where are we counting?
Well,
'Cause in
we're
China,
trying to
you'll
get to
count
the
from
dragon.
0.
Let's just count from 0. It doesn't really matter which way we do it, as long as we get one result
Okay, 1960
relatively quickly.
is rat.
Right.
1961 is ox.
Ox.
1962 is tiger.
Yeah.
1963 is rabbit.
Okay.
Previously, and then 1964 is. Hang on.
Forget about it.
So you no wait a second. Wait a second.
Okay.
No, because you were talking about
Tenacious.
dragon. No.
Yeah.
He's like that sometimes.
Hey, we need to figure. I was just wondering how young is the youngest dragon?
64
64.
is dragon.
Dragon, and then it's a 12-year calendar,
Yeah.
right? So 64, 76,
Yep.
88,
Yep.
88,
2000.
2000, 2012.
2012.
So if I'm going to start a wicked band, I need to find people who are rats and people who are dragons.
It's not bad.
And then
it's not bad.
we can just have a good time and go anywhere and do anything.
Well, that's certainly true. Or and the other possibility is if you take the Western astrology, you can if you find people, for example, who are Capricorn, they're good for you. If you find Sagittarius, they're also good for you. So let me just say that, for example, if I think about marriage, in my case, my mother-in-law, the husband who passed away, he's Cancer.
Okay.
My mother-in-law now, she's Sagittarius. So they kind
That's
of...
right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's next door, being Sagittarius. at the moment. And the dog...
There's a Sagittarius in the next room.
And the dog that we have, which is a rescue
Can
dog.
you apply this to animals?
Yeah, of course.
What?
Well, when I say of course, our previous conversation we came on mic was that Matt was saying how much he really appreciates data and stuff, and that, being into something. So what I was saying at the time is that I'm not responsible for anything. All I've done as a human being is, on hindsight, make a hypothesis, and whether it's astrology, science, or whatever it is. So that must apply to animals. If you're Christian, you would say, no, the animal has no sentience, it's a product of us. Why would we be so arrogant to think that human beings are not governed by elements and, as you said, cycles that go through? We are just part of that. And as human beings, we have the, not ability or disability, to structure things into discriminate. And it's okay, but as soon as we say, I don't believe in this, I don't believe in what I'm saying, I've just categorized it as one thing.
Right.
You'll categorize it as quantum physics. So there's a friend of mine, Greek Cypriot, who has a quantum physics and art page. So it relates to what people are creating, to all the patterns that have actually come up, discovered in quantum physics, because there are things that you can't see. So you've kind of got that idea, but if you look back in history, that's already been discovered as a pattern.
Right.
So in reference to this year, the year of the monkey, yeah, it's good. But each month, I'll show you that report.
Yeah, we can take a look at it later.
Susan Levitt, I'll show you that later.
All right.
So we'll read from that. So every month through Yahoo, I get her report. She's so nice.
Is that the one you sent me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you got it?
Yeah, I can pull it up right
Oh,
now.
cool.
Let's-
That is so professional.
Can you while I'm searching for it, can you just introduce what I'm about to read here?
Yes, sure. What happened was that prior to my introduction, there was a bottle of wine that a bottle of beer that needed to be opened. Now, this is very important for this time of the month. When Aquarius is up Uranus, it means that the beer has to be opened.
Oh, Jesus.
So, if you would just allow us a little break, we'll just give you a commercial break
Yeah,
while we open the beer.
we can open it right now.
Please play with yourself.
All right. So I'm looking for this.
Drink with us.
Looking for this thing. So, aside from over detailing, okay, I'll pause until I find it. Okay, I found the report.
Welcome back.
We just had a little break here. Okay, so here's the report. New moon in Capricorn, December 28th, 2016.
Can you do it slowly? Because we're having a few beers.
I'm doing it quickly. Here's a new moon in Capricorn. The new moon, Sun, Mercury, and Pluto are all in Earth sign Capricorn, making this lunar month the time to focus on earthly matters such as health and finances. Fortunately, the new moon, Sun, and Mercury make harmonious sextiles with Mars, Neptune, and Pisces. The Mars sextiles bring good creative focus, courage, and energy to accomplish tasks. The Neptune sextiles bring increased empathy and interest in spirituality, yet there can be tension due to a cardinal T-square that lasts all of January in Jupiter in Libra opposite Uranus and
I beg your
Aries.
pardon? Yes.
With both Jupiter and Uranus squaring Pluto, this could bring a variety of challenges, including suddenly breaking up a relationship, being
Wow.
overly ambitious without preparation,
Oh my
or
gosh.
gambling on the unknown, especially during the tail of this fire money year.
Fire money or fire monkey?
It says fire money.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No.
Fire monkey?
Yeah.
Okay, it's probably a typo. Now, what the fuck is a T-square, and what the hell is a sextile?
Okay. I have absolutely no interest in that whatsoever. Simply because...
Why'd you make me bring it up?
No. Because as I mentioned earlier on before the thing was on, I have a good friend, Micheline Coutier. She is French-Canadian who lives here. Matt is also Canadian, but she's on the French side. And she... and somebody else as well, I think, will do an astrology chart, and they'll go into every single detail. Now, it's quite interesting because I will be happy that they're doing all that work, and I'll see how it applies to me. I've got a book here, actually, which deals with...
What's the book called?
It's just called The Complete Book of Astrology.
Okay.
So it's not my Bible, but what it actually has is, for example... if I find it. Yeah, it's all got stuff about textiles and all that. Textiles and sextiles. I just avoid all that. But the bit that I like is, for example, Jupiter in Aries or Mars in the 12th house. What it means is that, for example, if you look at how many of those things, we'll talk about it later, or you can look at it yourself. But if you can look at how many of those elements are water. In my case, I've got a lot of water. For example, I've got Pisces in Venus. I've also got Pisces, not Pisces. I'm sorry, start that again. I've got, gosh.
Yeah.
Are
you pausing it? We want me to pause?
No, it's okay. I'll just keep flicking through while you chat.
You got Pisces. I don't know what that. You're the expert on this, man. I'm just the morons trying to.
I haven't used this
understand.
book in ages,
Okay.
so I'll just go back to what it is. Not the house. Oh, okay, I got it. So, for example, there are the planets. The one that I really look at is the planet in. So, for example, Neptune in Gemini.
Right.
So that will mean that it's your general life plan. It's not what's going every day a month. It's from when you were born. So when you were born, for example, when I was born, what's the first one? The Earth? Okay, for Earth, I was...
The first one was the metal.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're dealing with Western astrology, which is this
okay,
book.
sure.
So, for example, when I was born, the sun was in Aquarius. When I was born, the Mercury was in Gemini.
Mm.
It's very close. And then Mars was in Cancer. So what happens is that in my particular case, because Mars is in Cancer, Cancer is very motherly. They're very motherly and emotional. Mars is a very active sign. So what it means is I can be passive aggressive. So when I want to move, like Aries will move, the warrior, I will do it. Yeah, but I care about you and I do it like that, which is the Cancer's good point and downfall, that sometimes they get upset that they really want to help people and do this, but they don't appreciate it. So if you're sort of Aries and Aries, you'll do it like that. You'll deal in a straight problem. I've got a conflict because Cancer is a water sign, Aries is a fire sign. So
Those don't go good together on the
well,
whole.
they kind of extinguish it.
Right.
So I have in my, for example, when you were born, this book will tell you, it will give all the dates, that when you were born, your sun sign, which you'll probably know if you know astrology, would be Aquarius, in Matt's case, Cancer.
Right.
But then there's the next thing, Mercury would be in a certain sign. You go through all the planets and you discover how much water you have, how much earth. So in my case, I have too much water, which makes me very emotional. Somebody who has too much earth is kind of unimaginative. Somebody who has too much fire can be incredibly aggressive. Somebody who has too much, where are we now, the elements?
Earth, wind,
Wood?
wood. We can do wood.
Oh,
Someone
sorry,
who's
not
got too
wood.
much wood.
Okay, I beg
black
your pardon.
dicks.
Too many woodies.
Yeah.
Right, whatever the elements are. So, wind, air.
Air.
That's it. Earth, wind, and fire. What was it? Earth, wind, and fire, right? Earth, wind, fire, water, and the other one is what?
Metal.
Oh, that's it. No, that's for the Chinese
Yes,
one.
for the Chinese.
So they're basically four for the Western. So what it means is that if you do those, if you check your chart of where the planets were,
instead of your privilege.
instead of your privilege, if you look at the chart and discover what was your ruling, what were your planet, where it was at that point of being born. So, for example, at that point of me being born, Mercury was in Gemini. Mars was in Cancer. I've got 5 water. I've got 1 fire.
I see.
I've got balance of earth, balance of air. What it means is that I lack guts because the fire is only one part. The which is Leo in Aquarius. So that's a good one. So if you do your charts, I can even do it for you if you like.
Well, yeah, we could do that.
You know, so if maybe later, what
Sure.
Matt may do in a podcast is we'll be telephoning up and communicating,
Yeah.
or sending messages.
I'm expanding on the
Exactly.
intro.
So
Yeah.
please do it, and I'd be so happy to
Sure.
to go through this and have a joke.
I'm
you know,
trying
whatever we
to the
do.
listeners. I'm trying to get people to call in for the introduction.
Oh yeah.
So I'm trying to get some different people around town.
Well, that would be good, and also you can kind of wake me up, because if I'm sort of getting into it, you can say, you know, you can make a joke about it,
Sure.
and that is a way of, you know, we'll get by. So Matt and I had a very interesting conversation, because Matt was saying he loves data, he loves collecting things, and if you're really not into astrology, don't deny it, because it's all the same language, you know, whether it's science or whatever it is. So
Yeah, we were saying that depending on who you are, you interpret reality with a vocabulary set.
Exactly.
And yeah, when you encounter someone with a different vocabulary set, it can be easy to disagree with them or not try to understand them. But in fact, they're interpreting the same reality, but just
Yeah.
expressing it with a different set.
exactly.
Yeah. So like, people that are atheist and people that are deeply religious
Exactly
will
the same.
frequently. We could smoke on the podcast, man, if you want to smoke.
Is
Like
that
the,
all right,
the cables
man?
are long enough. You can open up
cool.
the door and have a
That's
smoke.
good.
We don't
That's
need to
really
stop
interesting
every time.
what you just said, because anybody, somebody who passed away a few years ago, I don't know if you're well, Christopher Hitchens.
Yeah. Oh, I love that guy.
Right. Well,
I've been watching a lot of his stuff.
Me too.
And he's a devout atheist, right?
He says atheist.
Atheist.
So he kind of.
Well, is there a different meaning when the inflection of the because means without theism.
I think that he acknowledges the fact that there is beauty, but he, by saying atheist, if you say agnostic, it means that you want proof. If you say an atheist, it's like you're really defining the fact that
it's
there
a pretty
is no
arrogant
God.
statement. I think.
Yeah.
I think, and then I'm agnostic, but people often say, "Oh, we can't make a choice, huh?" As if the only choices out there are
No, it's
belief
showing your
or not
open-mindedness.
belief.
No, I think you
And
say
it
it from
drives
a
me
warmth.
nuts.
No, I think you say it from a warmth.
It's like you have to decide when you're alive what happens to you after you die.
Well, this just goes back
Fuck
to what
you.
this just goes back to what we talked about earlier. For you to say I'm agnostic is that you want to say that there's a possibility for you not actually being possible for your own creation and doing it. It's like
It's
saying
beyond my understanding.
Well, okay, let's say that somebody says I owe everything to my father.
That's
to my
wrong.
mother.
That's
No.
incorrect.
I want wait. Hold on a second. If you say that, for example, my father taught me these things and my mother taught me these things, it's exactly the same thing of, well, I'm not sure. I know that there is a God. I know that I had a father.
People say that because they want approval from other people they don't know. That's the only reason why you say I owe everything to my mother.
But you, sorry to go back.
Sure.
But you said you're agnostic as opposed
Yes.
to being atheist, which I think means that you don't believe that you're responsible for everything. You will show respect to an authority. Now, I think that in terms of the idea of
Today,
Christianity.
that's you. You're the authority.
Well, no. What what I wanted to say was that if you look at the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, all it is that a relative passed away. I really hope that they can listen to me. The Son is you, and then the Holy Ghost is probably the spirit of whatever it is.
Sure.
So, taken in its most positive sense, means that. Going back to what you're saying, the categorization of Christianity is your categorization of who. If you say you're an atheist, it sounds very selfish. If you say you're agnostic, it kind of acknowledges the fact that a God would actually have an influence on me to my creation, but what is termed as a God and how you take it through religion, leave me out because that's man-made. But by saying that it's not just me, but things outside of me influence me, it's a modesty.
Sure. I'm a paranoid, suspicious, agnostic existentialist.
He's a paranoid existentialist, big good dude.
That's what I am. Paranoid existentialist.
Is that on your passport?
Agnostic. I hope it could be. Then people would know what I'm going to say a lot more easily, I think.
Well, it's just go back to what you were saying. We were saying about Christopher Hitchens and atheism. What happened to Christopher Hitchens is that his mother, she left his father, and she got together with a priest. They committed suicide, and he discovered their body. So I think that it may have turned him against the idea of Christianity.
Well, maybe, but what if he just didn't like his mother?
I think that he did, and I think he was really upset that this guy was there and he was a priest. At the same time, he's quite proud of the fact he's an ox. Okay, Christopher Hitchens is an Aries ox, so the Aries side is kind of feisty. They're sort of he moved from being a Trotskyist leftist to being a Bush supporter simply because he loves fighting. The ox likes a good battle.
Yeah.
My wife is an ox. Take my wife.
Hey,
Please.
She's an old ox.
She's an ox. So she was born in 1961.
Yeah, she has too much battle axe in her.
She was born in... Sorry, I can't say quite a thing if she's listening to this.
Oh,
she
yeah.
probably won't be. But any
No,
any
no,
ladies
she's
who
not
do, any
listening.
ladies.
You know who's listening? More people in Florida are listening.
Is that
Shout out
so?
to Florida.
Florida, like, I think it's really good, like, dude, like, I got a gun. Is it okay to give me your money?
Yeah, man.
Is that all right?
Yeah, when they're not shooting each other with guns,
You
and
know,
doing
like,
lines of cocaine.
like we're the Valley Girl posse. You know,
yeah,
we gotta-
eating alligators
we got to
and
invest in
crocodiles.
jewelry in Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
But,
on the golf courses.
Exactly. So with Christopher Hitchens, there's definitely a fighting thing, and with Ox, okay, as I say, my wife, she was born in 1961, in February the 22nd, which makes her an Ox. But in Japan, being January the 1st, I would be referred to being an Ox. But in the Chinese astrology, it's the end of the Chinese year. The new year would be February. So I'm an Ox. If I spoke to a Japanese person, I often correct them. They say, "Oh, I'm an Ox." When you were born, you're actually a rat. And they'll go, "What is a rat?" Oh.
So the Japanese people use the Chinese celestial calendar
For rituals.
for rituals.
So this example of rooster.
I
being
said they did earlier, but I wasn't sure.
Well,
I just said it anyways.
No. So you're what happens is that we're now in the year. Even after January the 1st, we'll still be monkey.
Yeah.
Because
Good.
it's the
a good
lunar year.
Fucking keep this
So
shit
it will
rolling,
last
man.
for you for a while. So whatever happens during January until a certain point, whatever the new year is, and you can check
I also
that.
started this podcast this year too.
Did you?
Yeah, so I started a podcast. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just trying to. You have good years.
It's a really good podcast. You should check it out.
Whatever. Who knows?
Oh no, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the listener.
Listener.
I don't know if you've ever discovered this
Because
podcast.
there's only one.
Well, I don't know if you've ever discovered this podcast that you're actually listening to, which shows you discover this podcast.
Yeah.
But please check out the other ones.
I recommend this thing. So, anything else to add about Mr. Hitchens?
Yeah. So I'll relate him to my wife. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So he loves a good battle.
Yeah.
So he's got that kind of
Get hitched.
lugubrious way of talking. If you look at Ricky Gervais, if you look at Eddie Murphy, if you look at Bill Cosby, if you look at their earth signs, they're very good storytellers.
Okay.
But they tell the same story.
Right.
So if you look at Christopher Hitchens in a debate, he says the same thing.
He's very repetitive.
He's repetitive because he feels secure with that.
Right.
His earth sign. So he talks about
He also
North.
dances around a lot within the topic. You know, he's
Yeah,
he's very
exactly.
flexible.
He's
you
very
can throw
flexible.
anything at him.
Yeah.
I'm very flexible with like English language and things like that.
Oh,
People
certainly.
can ask me anything about fucking English almost.
Is
And
this Matt Hitchens?
Matt Hitchens, and I'm like a fucking 300 batter in the cage, man.
Right,
But
right,
you'd
right,
ask
right.
me something any else, I'm like, I have no fucking clue, man.
Well, that's an honesty. You know, that's the honesty that he has, and that's the reason why we're living together. I mean, not generally living
Yeah.
together, but only sleeping together.
We're not
No, I don't
sleeping
mean sleeping
together.
together. I mean in the biblical sense. No, I don't mean that. I mean that he's here today and gone tomorrow. Goon tomorrow, if you like Spike Milligan. But
So how do you reconcile the differences between the Babylonian and the Chinese calendar?
okay, there is a
Especially
kind of
with this 2016 theme we're barely keeping together.
okay. So the equivalence, when you look at there is one view that, as you were mentioning about the lunar calendar. So, for example, you being a monkey means that the sun side in the Western astrology will be Leo.
Yes.
So the Leo can be a little bit tricky, but they're also really generous. The I'm rat, which in the lunar, looking to the lunar side, would be Sagittarius. So it's not exactly the same. So again, it's not exactly the same, but certainly I just go between one or the other. So, for example, I will think, okay, that's my rat side. That's my sort of I have 5 things that I have to work on as a rat, which is acceptance. Know that your people see you okay. Show magnanimity, show greatness. In other words, don't be picky about small things. Don't be stingy. Be enthusiastic and have poise, have elegance. If I work on those things, I get a balance. because I have the tendency to do the opposite of that. I'm critical. I'm also concerned, and maybe other people don't think, I'm also petty about small things.
Is that fun?
I don't know.
Really?
I mean, it may work.
I think there's a certain amusement in pettiness.
If
You derive a lot of pleasure from niggling someone in the ribs.
No, it actually gives me stress.
Oh, really?
Because what I'm doing is, I mean, my wife will say to me, why do you care about such a small thing? Like how we're eating now and making a noise. Why is that important to you? And so I think that it just gives me stress. So if I do it as a kind of mantra occasionally, okay, acceptance.
Do you ever wear a petticoat?
You're good. You're good looking. You show magnanimity. You're indulgence. Sorry, not enthusiasm. Indulgence and poise. It balances me off.
Wow.
So because there are traits that affect me more than they affect other people. Because as you said before, niggling or whatever can be fun if that person would like a niggle.
Right.
You know, like you'll say something to me.
What?
Well, yeah. Well, you'll say something to me which is influenced by you that I.
Do you have a niggle?
Do you have a niggle? Do you have a niggle on you? Buddy, can you spare a niggle? And excuse me, the niggle. We're not allowed to say niggle.
We're totally allowed.
We have to use
say,
the N word.
That's
we
right.
can't say niggle.
Yeah.
What a
When
nigglet.
people have an N word, what? They have niggle.
Well, Louis.
Isn't that uncomfortable?
Well, exactly. Well, you know Louis C.K.
Yeah, of course.
Well, the comedian, they say he's more black than black, you know. And he said, as soon as you say the N word, you're just making people nervous because they're
Niggle?
immediately thinking of the word nigger.
Yeah. Oh, the actual N word. Yes.
You better say nigger.
Yeah.
And then you'll be told by the person, actually, you don't get away with that word because with us. And okay, that's fine. But if I speak to somebody who's African American and I say the N word, they know that I'm thinking the word nigger.
Yeah.
And why would I be politically correct? Simply, how should I say this? No, I think for social reasons it's important to be politically correct. But the reality is...
I'm pretty sure some black dude doesn't even want to talk about it, you know?
I got an interesting conversation with Matthew. Do you know Rhyming Gaijin?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he came over here. I've got to meet him for tea. And he was telling me about in his English class, he wanted to teach the students about racism. And I said to him, look, they don't even have the history that we have. By doing that, you're implanting an idea.
Yeah.
I sometimes get upset when I look at the TV and they dub the conversation, and like they'll have somebody going, oh, and so you go to deny yo, and I think, well, why are you doing that? But they're not meaning to do it. It's an innocence,
right?
And if anything,
naivety.
It's a naivety, but at least they're engaging, rather than creating separation in the society. So I kind of said to him, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't teach racism.
There was this TV show.
Excuse me.
This is hilarious. A couple of years ago, they were featuring the tallest person in the world meeting the shortest person in the world.
Yes.
And the Japanese translation, the dubbing for the tallest person in the world was like, no, kind of feeling. And the dubbing for the smallest person in the world was like,
like a little mouse.
And
That's
it was
hilarious.
It was not only was it like just weird to see these two opposite beings forced to meet each other, but then to hear the Japanese dubbing of them, it was like, oh my god. And of course, one guy's from India, and other guy's from like China, and then you got like.
So you got to deny you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's not caught up with colonialism, and there's nothing like that. So by respecting the Japanese culture and the history, you'll know that they don't have I don't even say prejudice. They don't have a guilt. Now, in my particular case, I went to a prep school. It's a long story. My father's Hungarian, so he went there. So he thought it would be good for me to go to an international school. And I'm thinking, well, why? But it's away from home. But what it meant was, all my colleagues were from Nigeria, from all over the world. I didn't even think about that. We're just there. As soon as
a kid, yeah.
So as soon as I started working, I remember I met these kind of cool people in the like 1980. They were friends of whatever, Mark Almond, all those kind of people. And then one of them, he looked trendy. He made a joke about Pakistani. What's the difference between Pakistani and shit? And I was like, what? And I just walked out of the pub. Now, what happened after that experience is it made me self-conscious that I should be. I didn't have it before. It's like Adam and Eve.
Right.
Adam and Eve. That as soon as you've got that apple, you start thinking, oh my gosh, I shouldn't do this. And I said this to, I've said this before to a personal member of my family, and they're saying, yeah, but you think I wasn't being liberal or patronizing. I'd never had that idea before.
Right.
If
you weren't coming from a political stance.
No.
You were just coming from an experiential pattern.
Well, take Chris Rock, take Prince. They grew up in a predominantly white area, which meant that Prince was listening to Heart, listening to rock music.
Yeah.
And
if you hear Prince and don't see him, you wouldn't really think
he was into it. He was into it. So he didn't have to define himself for his identity or marketed way. It's a long conversation about that. But it meant that I just felt comfortable with people. But as soon as somebody said a joke about that, I was so shocked by it. And it meant that if I met somebody who was Jamaican, I would have to remember when I was at prep school and we were friends. Because I didn't want to get into an area whereby I start being patronizing or whatever.
Or make it about race or something like that.
Yeah, because it's not. It's something that's outside of yourself.
It's so boring as well.
If you've never experienced people, I mean, let me ask you this question: when you in Canada, you've got probably the highest population, or used to have, in Vancouver of Vietnamese people.
Yeah, there was a few
more than people in Vietnam. The population was actually bigger than people in Vietnam.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
What?
Really?
There were more Vietnamese living. Do you mean Hong Kong?
No, I mean in Canada, in Vancouver.
There were more Vietnamese living in Canada than Vietnam?
Yeah.
When was that?
How big is Canada? How big is your Canada?
How big is it's like this? It's just a bit smaller than Russia.
There you go. So Vietnam, how big is that?
It's just about the same size as Japan.
Well, there are more people. There are more people in Canada who are Vietnamese in Vancouver. Okay, maybe not more, but certainly a high populace of people who left.
Okay,
yeah.
I can see in terms of immigrants, there's more Vietnamese immigrants in Canada than Vietnamese communities
elsewhere.
Elsewhere.
Yeah, that's probably it.
That has to be it.
I think that's probably it.
There's a lot of Vietnamese, man.
Yeah. So
Asian people breed a lot, or they used to.
I'm not sure about that.
Not anymore, but there's a lot of people.
The year of the
in
rabbit.
Asia.
The year of the rabbit. The population went up about so and so. But yeah. So my question leading to you is that because you were surrounded with with people who are mixed.
I wasn't. I grew up in a super white area. I didn't have. From the time I've probably spoken to fewer than 20 black people in my whole life.
Really?
Yeah. And I've spoken to maybe a couple dozen Indians. Like, I'm serious. When I grew up in very small town, central Canada.
Oh, okay.
I'm from a place near Vancouver, but it's outside. You know how in Tokyo, once you get into like 30 minutes out of Tokyo, it just becomes like 50 years ago Japanese mentality. Right. It was the exact same thing in Canada.
Yeah.
You leave the big cities for 30 or 40 kilometers, and all of a sudden it gets really white.
But given your character, who is very engaging and affable, I think it's just that fact. So I think that if you happen to meet somebody from whatever, you are you and they are them. It just happens that's where you grew up. So I think I can draw a parallel, just what I said before. The fact that I was with people,
right,
whether the Libyan or whatever, was with people. So I think for you, I don't know whether that affected the way you deal with people, because you're not guarded, are you?
Well, I think I am. I mean,
well, you don't appear so.
No, I don't appear so.
No.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know anything about me.
No, what I mean is the appearance that you give, the outward appearance, is somebody who's kind of easygoing.
Right.
And your self-image, maybe I'm nervous about this or this, but this goes back to what I was saying before about my mood and things. I am something to somebody else. So by seeing you, you may have an inner turmoil, which is normal, but at the same time, when I see you, I feel good.
Oh, thank you, man. I like you too.
Well, if we look at a Venn diagram,
Okay. What diagram?
a Venn diagram.
What's a Venn diagram?
A Venn diagram is that you've got a circle.
Is this astrology?
No, this is mathematics.
Okay.
So you've got a Venn diagram of a circle.
Yeah.
You've got another circle, and there's concentric. They overlap.
Okay, the overlapping space. So the
Which
two
is-
circles with an overlap.
Right, and if we don't have that
Yeah.
overlap, we deal with French people, or we deal with people who just don't want to interact, or nervous, or don't feel confident, and they don't expand. Oh, aside from astrology, my favourite book is A Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment.
All right.
Have you read it?
No.
It's basically, if you love, you expand. As soon as you don't, you contract.
That makes sense.
And it just means that when you love, you're on a high level, but you can't always be on that level. But as
No.
soon as you contract, you just go within yourself. As soon as you say something, you shouldn't do this, in the sky, it becomes it becomes written out, so you can't avoid it.
Right.
So, in acting, when you say, okay, you need a motivation, I've sometimes had this discussion, just a normal conversation. What do you want me to do? I don't want you to do this. I don't, I had this in the rehearsal as well. Don't do this, don't do this. How do I move? If I say to you, like you said to me, really, let's do this, let's do this. Never in the conversation is let's not do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I
that provides nothing.
I think everybody has, like, everybody all the time has that kind of a not something. I try to avoid saying that.
Yeah, personally you need it, right? Within yourself.
Well, even people saying something or doing something, or even, for example, quote unquote organizing this podcast.
Yeah.
The idea of trying to say, well, let's not do this. I try to
Never.
I might do it more than I'm saying
Well,
right now, but I don't want to confine.
I'll tell you something interesting, listeners, that we discussed something about... Listener, it's us, was that we kind of prepared a little bit for this, and Matt was saying, I'd like to focus on this. Now, I've already got what I want to do, but I may think, well, let's not limit it, but at the same time, he didn't say, don't talk about this, which
Right.
meant that actually he gave me a focus point in order to what he does and for what it is.
Speaking of focus,
Yeah. Great band
How do
from
you-
Holland.
how do you...
Can I just go to the toilet?
Oh, yeah.
No, on the microphone.
On the microphone. There's no peeing on the microphone. Hey, how do you reconcile the
I really
differences?
need to. Yeah.
Do you need to pee?
I certainly do today. Pee, by the way, is it's a word
Okay.
for go to the toilet.
Yeah, we'll break for pee, and then we'll come back and...
Can we just do a pee break? Hold on.
You didn't answer the question.
Just before I do.
Okay, we're going for break.
Whether it's science, whatever, was so clear.
Yeah.
To hear that, it was really good.
So we're recording.
Oh, we're recording now.
Yeah, we just started. We're back, and we're trying to get some. One of the goals I had for today is if I could get Mr. Degg to
That's
give
me.
a straight answer.
Is it?
We're going, man.
I can't hear myself. Oh, because I don't
You
have headphones on.
Headphones on. Put on the headphones, and then let's get today's goal out of the way.
Let's get with it, babes.
All right. So you're gonna have another smoke.
No. I mean, yes, but just carry on.
So how do you reconcile the differences? Well, you already answered me in a way. You said there is no reconciliation to be dealt with between Western and Babylonian and Chinese astrology. Why?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Okay, so Matt earlier on was reading out a report. I get this report through my Yahoo Mail every month from a lovely lady in California called Susan Levitt. You can check her homepage. Maybe I can give it to you later. And she's very positive.
That sounds like my name's Susan Levitt, and I have astrology.
She
thing,
doesn't do it
and
like that. I mean,
I'm from California.
No, what happens is she goes through stages whereby sometimes she gets into negative elements, and all I can think is, well, something's happening in her life. But the reason, what attracted me to her is I felt inspired. Now, it is not necessarily true or whatever, but if somebody speaks to you and says, you look tired, it brings you down. If somebody says it's nice to see you, you feel up. So
Yeah.
that's what she focuses on, and it doesn't matter if it's true or not. Anything that people say to you is just making you feel good. Now, anyway, going back to what you were saying about the reconciliation between both.
Right, because they have different starting months.
Well, yeah. Well, that
One's a
report-
lunar and one's a solar.
Okay, and then one report, she focuses on specifically the Chinese report, which I get. It could be the Western side. So, in what we were talking about earlier on is the what we were talking about earlier on, and I don't necessarily follow it exactly. Is that I was born in the year of the rat, which in my case is the end of 1960, which it means it's the beginning. In February is the beginning of the ox year, but I'm actually at the end of the rat year, which still makes me a rat. But anyway, according to certain charts, rat is akin to Sagittarius. Now, I'm sure some of you may, through magazines or whatever, know something about, and if you don't know about Chinese astrology, it's very much known in France. They had a kind of what was it? They colonized certain areas in Vietnam as well. So if you look at a magazine in France, it's Chinese astrology. They go through that. So somebody who knows both, they will indicate rat is similar to is the same as Sagittarius. Rat, being Chinese, will be governed by the lunar cycle. So, for example, if you were pregnant, and in Japan, I was very surprised. I heard this person was pregnant for 10 months.
It's a long time.
I thought, what is the person doing there? Why are they so cynical they're not coming out of the womb?
Oh, right.
But all they mean is that in China, there's no concept of zero. So they count the point of conception as one.
Right.
So as you were saying, they're looking at the moon, but Sagittarius is sun. So if you look at characteristics of Sagittarius and of the rat, you'll find an anomaly. It doesn't, for me, it's not perfect. But for example, I'm rat Sagittarius. Now, the Sagittarius sign is a searcher. They love initiating things. The rat has the same hedonism, but at the same time they have a certain worry and insecurity that isn't always reflected in the Sagittarian, unless the Sagittarian, who appears sometimes intolerant of other people, could be very critical. In that case, there is a kind of connection. So in Matt's case, he is Cancer, which is akin to, just a moment, rabbit.
Oh.
So he
Damn.
so no, it's good because rabbit is a mutual sign.
It's just, I want it all to be dragon.
Who wants to be dragon?
I just want dragons.
I want to be drag. That's why I'm wearing a dress.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wearing an dress.
That'd be a good name for a drag queen. Yeah. Professor Dragon.
Drag on.
Yeah.
Hey, drag on, babes.
Hey. And you go drag on and on and on.
Certainly will. And if any of you, right, so there I was back in 1913. I started off as a T-bar. Oh, shut up. Right. Right.
To make a long story short.
To make a short story long, where were we? You were asking about the offensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you were telling me that
for example,
rabbit is the same as...
Matt. Yeah. So again, if you look at both, it's not. But it's good. It's not exactly the same, but Cancer in the Chinese thing is a mutual sign. They're a mutable sign, whatever the word is. Mutable.
Multiple.
Mutable. In terms
Mutual.
Mutable as in being a catalyst for communication with people.
Oh, okay.
So the rat and the monkey, Matt is a monkey, and I'm a rat. They're initiators. If you're born in the year of the ox, rooster, which is next year, or the snake, you are a kind of... Well, the ox has the sign of enforcer. They like fighting or whatever. They're akin to Taurus. Work is their middle name. My wife, her name is Yumiko Work Deg. If I were to tell her to relax, yeah, but I have to do this thing. That is her soul food. Work. So if you take a snake sign, Hang on a second. I've made a mistake. Sorry. Ox is equivalent to Capricorn, which is again is an earth sign. They're into work and their business. But the difference between the two is Ox are not, well, they're kind of status conscious, but not really. Now, in Matt's case, he's Cancer. Now, because it's similar to Rabbit, it means that Cancer are the best homemakers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're the best homemakers. So they're
Take that.
motherly. They also have a certain anal side, which means that they, how do I say this? In a really positive sense, they trust their family. And in my case, I came over to this country and I have Cancer rising. So when I was
Sorry
born...
to hear that.
Yeah, but it's okay, because I spoke to David Cronenberg and he said it's a new form of life. Live the new flesh. So, yeah. So what it means is that when according to it...
You gotta just get the mic down away from your lips.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So when I get older, my second family will be more important than my first. And it just so happened that my father-in-law is Cancer.
Oh. Is Cancer?
Was
Cancer.
So he is very, very comfortable at home. Outside, he was very practical with work and he was sociable. But when he talked about my mother, I say my mother-in-law, she was my mother-in-law, but she's now my mum. You know, I live here. She would say, oh, he always says nice things about his family. It's not the Japanese way. They usually say, oh, my wife at home or my kid. They try to be modest, but it actually works out as being...
Curmudgeon-y.
Curmudgeon?
In
No.
English.
No, it's considered to be modest, but it's kind of confusing. It's like if you say to somebody in Japanese, how are you?
Yeah.
But if you say, actually, I'm not busy at all, it's no problem with that. But it's modesty. It's modesty to say, I'm not. It's putting your status below somebody else.
Yeah.
So if you say, actually, nanka watashi nanka, I'm not doing that much. It's not saying I'm busier than you. It means that I hope you approve of the fact that I'm working rather than I'm sitting around doing nothing.
Right.
So in the case of my father being Cancer, he was so welcoming to me in my home. He said my home, but he said it in a nice way, meaning that he's comfortable there. So I thought he was, he looked like a Yakuza mafia person when I saw the photo. He's tough looking Kyushu guy with a feminine center.
Right.
Cancer is a feminine sign.
Yeah.
Monkey, which matters both, is a masculine sign. The masculine side is very Yangian, very positive. The Cancer side has a sensitivity. He has a balance of female and male, as not the physical form, but you would say yin and yang.
Is that why I put dresses on my G.I. Joes?
Probably. But what it means is that, again, that's defined to how we would interpret what a woman should look like. But he has the balance of both male and female. I don't. I have male, which is Aquarius. I have male, which is rat. But going back to what we were talking about, complete astrology, if you look about what was in your sign, whether it was Mars and Venus, which is Mars is a fire one. If you have a lot of fire, I've got a lot of water, which gives me a feminine side, which means I can get on with Cancer people because they're water.
Wow, that's a really interesting way of looking at it. The beer is gone.
It's gone, man. With the wine.
With the wine.
So going to what that. So sorry, I'll shut up now. What was your?
No,
next
that's
thing?
fine, man. I was just gonna say because of the overlap between the years of the. Oh yes.
Cheers.
Cheers. Well, you want some more?
Sure. Why not?
What can not just? I don't want to pour it over the equipment here. So. What I want to know is
Good idea.
regarding next year.
Yeah.
The year of the rooster.
Okay.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Right. Rooster is
what's
a very.
Go on.
Okay.
And when does it start?
Okay. In order to answer this question, in order to think about it, we have to think of it interpersonal point. So I can say how it relates to you. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So in relation to you, Matt, being Cancer, it's not bad. And then being a monkey, it's irritating. Because being a Cancer, rooster, going back to the lunar and the sun, has a relationship between Virgo. Virgo is the accountant. Virgo is the prissy one.
Gross.
So, but Cancer is kind of sensible. So regarding work and those things, they appreciate the rooster who's kind of good at business. The difficulty about the rooster sign is they're good at entertaining, but they're naggers. Nag.
Oh, I don't deal good with nagging.
No. So that's very similar to the Virgo. Why isn't everything perfect? So they'll say something really irritating. So the rooster, I have a student, as well as doing music, I've also got a student. She's lovely. I've taught her for absolutely over 20 years or something.
Jesus.
She, as the Pisces, she's Pisces rooster. So the Pisces side, like my wife, is very adaptable to everybody else and loving. The rooster sign is if she has to have a house redone, she's doing Yahoo auctions, she's on it. She's on it.
Yahoo.
And she loves being seen in photographs, which is the rooster sign.
Really, a rooster's vain?
I don't want to say it like that, but they're good entertainers.
Okay.
And they like being seen.
They like being on stage?
Yeah.
They have a stage
so,
persona?
do you know a band called Suede?
Nope.
Okay, the band that Matt doesn't know that he's very familiar with is called Suede. They know you.
Really?
As well as Christopher Hitchens. He did. The last thing he ever said was, Matt.
Yeah, bless his
I think he was just referring to the carpeting.
cancer.
But the fact is he was referring to you. But, yeah. So, okay, rooster year. So, again, we can't say what the year it is. We could, but it's kind of sensible to relate it to yourself.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
So if I go through all the signs...
Just relate it to me as just a point of reference,
Okay,
for example.
so for you, it's going to be good and so-so. So the good point about it is you can trust the business side. It's going to be taking care of things, very sensible.
I hope so.
But being a monkey... You're playful. You want, as you like. We're doing this now on the podcast. I'm going through. I either take one role, but Matt's today. His podcast is going up and up and up. So what he's doing is he's organising certain things, which is kind of depleting or reducing his monkey side, which is good at business, but at the same time is playful. So relating to the rooster on stage, great. You know,
Right.
If you're on stage with a rooster, it's actually there. If you're sitting down hearing, but this, maybe you should do this. It's like, oh, get out of my face.
Okay.
So there is.
So I should perform with roosters, but not socialize with.
You
roosters.
should perform this year, being the year of the rooster.
Okay, it's a performance year
It's a performance year and a nagging year.
and a nagging year.
So focus on the performance.
Okay.
And looking good.
Yeah, I got to get away from the nagging. That's the main thing.
The point about
Nagging will drive me crazy.
well, the nagging would be that you're nagging.
I'm gonna nag.
Yeah, because it's
I'm gonna be the nagger.
well, you're going to be the nagger. Let's
I'm
not
gonna
use
be the
that
damn
word.
Nagger.
PC. You're going to be the N word. So
I hate naggers.
no. What it is because it's related to you. What
Okay.
I'm referring to interpersonal things.
right.
The year doesn't exist in itself. It's how we affect us. So if we're nagging and niggling other people and all this
Yeah.
stuff, it's because we're influenced by the nagging side of the rooster.
Oh no.
Therefore, if we notice ourselves doing that, I better get on stage. I better look good, and you could say vanity or whatever, or get down to doing business.
Right.
Get down to your business. So when I say business, I mean number 2, which I don't know if that
Hey,
equates.
that's all right. Good
Right.
shit. So we're fine with
Good
me.
shits, man.
Big
They split up, didn't they?
Nagging black shit.
Didn't the shits split up?
Is
Or was
a
that the
band?
Shins?
The Shins? Maybe. I don't know. I think music is kind of dying, man. Literally and figuratively. For me, 2016, all these deaths of musicians.
that's
I'm
interesting.
also like, music is kind of dying too. Have you heard of any good music this year? Have you? Have you seen any good music on TV? Have you seen anybody talk about actual music this year? I haven't. I haven't at all.
I think what it is in my particular case is I've been out of action for a long time.
But you still have media. I'm trying to say, like, if you listen to this podcast, I'm always kind of bitching and surmising about this, but the fact that I just never see anyone being like when's the last time I met 5 people this year talking about the same song or band? I just
Well, can I answer it this way?
Yeah.
You're actively creating and actually performing. So have you met people who you feel who are not, let's forget Prince, let's forget anybody who we observe, you're actually putting it into action as a musician. Have you met anybody in Japan who you go through and you go, or, you know, whether they're from other countries, whatever, you go, I can dig it, and you actually relate to them as opposed to projections from media?
Oh, no, yeah, I have a lot of great musician friends, and my relationship with music through musicians is very positive.
That's how it seems. You know, Matt. Can I talk to the listener? Is that okay?
Yeah,
Keep doing this
all right,
way.
yeah. Break
Matt,
the fourth wall, the fourth ear.
Caravaggio.
Yeah.
So with Matt, whenever I've seen him, I've known Matt. Probably the last time we spoke was that we would go to like an open mic night. It's where you get up on stage. It's like karaoke, but it's with music. So you go up there and you play music, and anybody can join in, or you've got a set. Now, I've known him for years, on and off. We have a nice conversation. So when we did the last podcast, which you can check on his site, it's the first time that we actually sat down and chatted.
Had a chat.
But the great point about that was the few seconds that whenever we met, it was just cool, you know? So in terms of the people that you play with and do things with, I don't think you're up to looking at social media and discovering things because you're living it. And I think that the kids are constantly going back to religion. They're constantly, it's like I said to you when I did a concert and these kids were watching me and I was like, well, why didn't you dance? They're learning because I was the same situation. I watched people, I did it. I'm not at the point where I can make a judgment. But you are now at the age whereby you can be discriminating of good wine, bad wine, or whatever, because you don't have your father, other people telling you what to do. Therefore, the significance of idols or all those people are pure. Why have those people gone? But not why have they gone now at our age, but why, as I said, maybe, excuse me to resume, why have they gone now that I'm 17? It means that when I was 13, this person inspired me, Keith Emerson of ELP. He died, and now as a person of 13, I lament that.
I see.
But at the point of the new kids coming up, these people who are coming up, if it actually engages you personally and do it, you kind of do it. Or if you want a resurgence of youth. So, for example, being over here, I reached a certain age. I was totally not connected with what was hip or anything like that. I somehow got to a channel, and this is what's going on. It's a revival to the 70s. It really inspired me, but they're younger than me. Primal Scream, Blur, all these people are younger than me. Damon Albarn is the same age as you, but he inspired me.
Right.
As a young person. So I got inspired. But the sort of Simon Cowell generic music that's great. Again, we spoke about this
And it
on
always
the
has to
podcast
be
before.
approved first, you know.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm not sure how much we can go on. I go on about it enough. The thing is that, like, regarding the music, I wouldn't mind if a 15-year-old came out with what I thought was like a really good song. Not just they have a great voice, or
What
they
is
play
your
guitar
criticism?
really quick.
What is your criticism of my criticism of the songs? I put up something on my timeline on Facebook, which was a song by the pop group called She Is Beyond Good and Evil. Now, the guy wrote it when he was 14.
Sure.
But what he was doing was he read Nietzsche and he did it. But at least he fucking read Nietzsche. So his reference is a love song, but it's a reference to something that he read. People who are illiterate are making songs that are just narratives. I went there and I did this. But the audience love it because they're communicating with each other very quickly in conversations on the internet. They're not being poetic.
Yeah.
So their conversations, what did you have today, Twitter? I had salad cream. That is now in lyrics. Those are now in lyrics.
It's a good point. It's real-time immediacy.
Exactly.
And that's what
no
is...
time for poetry.
That's for me, yeah, there's no... not no, but the usage of critical thinking or internalizing...
No time for that.
And then producing something. It
Exactly.
takes a long time. And people do that and are successful at it.
Yeah.
However, the person who just fills up a bathtub full of Coca-Cola and jumps in is going to get a lot more attention on
Oh, that's a really good point.
So
Yeah.
So why what's going to motivate people to pursue an artistic persuasion in life? Are you going to have the person who spends 50 hours learning guitar solos, one guitar solo to get 10,000 views, or are you going to have a person fill up a bathtub full of Coca-Cola and jump in and get 20 million views?
Okay,
if you're going to be viewing that
Yes.
as a let's say as a 13 or 14
Yeah,
year old,
yeah.
you're going to be going, well, I'm going to go with the 20 million.
Okay, switch
you know?
the fucking computer off.
Yeah.
Don't touch it and go organic.
And the thing
Simply
is that
just create.
it's for me it's worse. I don't mind it. Like when tapes went to CDs and CDs went to MP3s, there was a progression that I felt was going on when
Technically
and also artistically. When black and white went to color, of course some of the black and white cinematography was lost and stuff like that. When
Yeah.
movies went from sound to no sound to sound to the talkies in the 20s, it was a progression. But I'm just seeing now the hyper fast production that is required means that there's no time for process.
Oh, that's
and it's just this real-time immediacy
That's
that
a really
people
good
require.
point.
And if you're a musician, you can't do that. And I think most people just want a 3-minute video of some sort of visual thing on their phone.
Can I just come in here?
Brightening their
Is
day
it okay to come
before
in
they
here?
transfer train lines or something
Come
like
in
that.
here.
Yeah.
So I think what it is they want the result before it's even done. They're concerned for the appeal. Now, if you, as a lot of people that we like, just enjoy the process, people are accepting it as you go through that process. You are not saying, I have something out before it's done. You're not hyping it. You are living your life, and other people just happen to come along. All the newspapers before, people, they're trying to catch on to it. Why are people listening to this? And then they categorize it. They categorize New Romantic for sales purposes. But all you're doing is living your life, which is a process. So I think that because of the internet, you sometimes have to get off it, switch it off and just be yourself. And then you don't want to do it. You feel like doing it. And then
Be bored on the bus.
You're bored on the bus and something comes up and you just do it with no communication with anybody else accepting their approval. Because their approval is sometimes feeling sorry for you. Oh, you want likes? Okay, I'll give you a like. Kawaii, I feel sorry for you. I will give you a like. And you're asking me? I'm on Reverbnation. And for some reason, we're #1 in the Tokyo charts and whatever. I have no idea. I haven't done anything for 5 months. I don't know why this is happening.
I was #1 in Reverbnation for years. And then they told me to keep my #1 status, I would have to log in.
But you don't pay for it.
No, it's a joke.
No, but you don't pay for it.
Reverbnation's a joke.
But you don't pay for it.
Fuck you, Reverbnation.
Yeah, but, okay. But you don't pay for it.
Right.
But there are people who actually pay for promotion and it's automatic mail response and virus things. That means it's a real sadness that they will believe in that ranking. I'm surprised by it. I don't... What? All I want to do is write kudos to other musicians as people and give a critical response so that we're on the same level. So I think that going back to what you were saying about the process is all. It's living life. There's not finality. The finality is death. Because all you're saying is, I'm now finalized by this before I've even had the process. And do you accept this? Do you accept this? The process is actually more relaxing for everybody else because they will just get into your process. And in terms of creation, as you were saying, mistakes, look at people who've done things, they just do funny things, and they're the best because people just, they don't care how it's marketed. They're concentrating on that, and somebody else can do it. When you're really young, like Blur, going back to Blur, Damon was very, they were crazy with their Seymour band doing whatever they do. Suddenly, because he's Aries monkey, so he's very good at business and he's very forward. The bassist said that he's got 3 balls.
Wow.
That if it was left to the band, they would just be failing at their university and doing it again. He was focused on what they do because he has to do it. And being a monkey, there are other sides. But what happened was that there was the kind of 1990 Summer of Love movement, Stone Roses, all these bands. They started copying them and doing it. When he started doing what he liked doing, which was influenced by his parents, who were kind of hippies, everybody got into it because it was what he wanted to do. Rather than he didn't want to be, how do I say? He didn't want to, what's the word? Follow the wagon. What's it? Get on the wagon? Not on the wagon.
Put the cart before the horse.
It's where you get on the wagon. It's not the wagon that's being drunk. It's whereby you.
Oh, just follow the herd.
You follow the herd.
Yeah. Get on the bandwagon.
Exactly. Get on the bandwagon, meaning that okay, they're doing it, so I will actually write something according to that. And everybody else, comedians. I remember a comedian. It's on in their show saying comparing Blur to Ride. All like shaking their heads, looking drippy and stuff like that. It's not him, but he wanted to sell his music like that. As soon as he started doing what he wants to do and going through that, they struck off a new thing because it was just being yourself.
Yeah.
And like we're talking now, this podcast, Matt says, is not edited. It's just basically what it is. So there's no final to what we do. We're just going along. You can pick it up whenever you want to do. So there's no, this is what it is. It's just part of process that you can take in, and you've got your process. That's life.
Yeah.
We're living now.
Yeah.
So in terms of the depth of music that comes about, you can look back and you can be now and you can be future, but don't care about whether it's accepted by anybody else. That's death. Because it means that you will create something with artifice that is not you. I've done this, and I hope that's... And don't do it, because what was that? That was somebody's categorization, or that's your security that you're listening to it, that you can label. You know, in conversation, sometimes people say, what genre are you?
Yeah.
You're only saying that because you're not confident about that. You want to buy something and you're losing.
We're beyond genre.
Well, the listener is losing the fact that
30 years ago there was genre, and there's very few genres. You can say classical or heavy metal,
yeah,
but for most people they're not playing a genre.
as musicians, yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of within themselves. And then the trap is where they want I was asked by, I won't mention his name,
Hey, nice to meet you. Can I just immediately put you in a box?
for themselves.
Yeah.
They have to do it because they don't play music. So they'll talk to you and they'll say, oh, now we've got something to talk about because I like this. And that's okay as a conversation. But when you're asked the question, if I talk in marketing, I would say this if somebody wants to do it. But as a conversation, I just say, oh, yeah, I remember I was doing something with the fiddler. Do you remember the fiddler?
The kitty fiddler.
Well, I wrote this is something from our past where we got into paedophilia. And then apparently a lot of kids, they were like 10 years old, they kind of contacted Matt and said, I'm sick of people categorizing paedophilia. I discovered my sexuality when I was 6.
Yeah.
I'd love to have sex with you. Thank you for that.
That never happened.
It didn't happen. Bloody hell, they never did. We had to discreetly take photographs of them in the nude.
We did not take photographs of them in the nude. Dude, come on.
Didn't really happen. I'm just free associating here. So yeah, process is everything, and I think get off the media. Don't care about what you do. For me, as I say, it's amusing. I look at that, but I know that the ranking is just based on the fact that the other musician wants to. If they're doing it by themselves, they check out comments on another band, and my name's there, and they communicate. My job is to, if they've got like 1 million hits, they're not responsible for that site. They've paid for a promotion. They're never going to reply except with an automated response. If I notice they've got a certain limited amount of things, I'll write to them directly. They'll reply with comments and we get a conversation going. Andy, do you know Andy
Brooks.
Rogers?
Rogers. Yeah.
I met him through MySpace
Wow.
years ago.
It's a long time.
It's a long time ago. He put it up, we discovered it, and then years later, I saw what the dickens he'd come from work, and then we started chatting.
Right.
And so since then, the relationship was there because it was natural. We communicated.
MySpace was good for music and musicians. I remember that. It was before video. Once we've just been not we, but music has been replaced in many ways by video. I think because people are more attracted to screens, and then previously the media, portable media, was mostly about audio, and now it's been replaced by video. Yeah,
I
just
think-
look on the trains, man. Everyone everywhere is tapping away at. Deals on Amazon, tapping away at casino games.
Are they tapping off?
They're tapping off. So I'm not.
Quick
I'm just trying to
masturbation,
say that the current mediums that are in place are not conducive to promoting music. Naturally, it's that's the way it is. So.
Going back to Damon Albarn and James Hewitt, they didn't like each other at first. Then they shared a flat. James Hewitt did Tank Girl. He did the comic for that. They were watching stuff. What did you just say just then? I've just forgotten it.
Oh, I was just talking about the videos.
Okay. They said that there are people making unimaginative videos. I actually did a remix for a guy called Benjamin from Nigeria. And it was a bit weird out filming. We wanted me to video make. He finally got it made, and it was a bit funny because he's young, and he spoke about how do you say famous people? They're A class or B. What was it?
A-class celebrities.
A class, and he was talking about that, and he's the age of 20 something, and I thought this guy's been watching this, but maybe he's really sharp. But when he made his video, it was inferior. I shouldn't say this if you're listening.
Wow.
Inferior point side to what rap music has done rap videos. Now, the guy is talented. He's so good. But when he showed the video, it was unimaginative. So with Damon and James, they were saying, why are they the videos are not artistic? Now, if you make a video that is artistic,
What's the
then
name of
it's
this Nigerian
okay.
guy? What's the name of this Nigerian guy?
I can't say. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if he hears this, I mean, it's just, I really like
Oh, you
him.
work with the guy.
I worked with the guy. I did a
Okay.
remix for him, and I gave him a quote, and I said, just pay me half. Because I did everything, and I can even promote him through that remix, but it's not what he wanted. He wanted auto-tune. He wanted something like that, and I don't know if he's happy, Happy Christmas, and we communicate. So that's what he wants or what he thinks should be sold, and we all
The
fall into
Nigerian
that
scammed
trap.
you? All right, let's bring this back to 2017. We should probably finalize. Oh, pause. Yeah,
Please.
Let's pause. Okay, and we're not going to continue with what we were just talking about because it's been too long and we forget. We're going to finish this now. Now, you were talking in 2017 in relation to me as a cancer.
Yeah.
Cancer what? Cancer
monkey.
Cancer monkey. But how about just generally as a year? What if you're just broad strokes? 2017 rooster.
Oh, okay. I would say, though I specified specifically in the relationship between cancer and monkey in referring, I made that reference to how Matt would actually feel within himself. For example, within me, I would get upset with the nagging, but it could mean that I'm nagging myself. Therefore, I'm being influenced by that. So I would say, as a general point, all the good things you can focus on business. Whatever you're doing in business studies, it will be successful if you focus on that. how you are seen, don't worry about that. Love yourself and be seen by people. Some people would love seeing you being seen. So, for example, if you show reticence and bitterness and stuff, they don't actually mind that, but they're confused by it. And if they agree with you, it's working on the lowest common denominator. So I would say, look good, be entertaining, and then other people watch you and they think, oh, this person's really happy doing this. I can do this as well. So there's that side. So the business side, the entertaining side, and then the niggly points. The thing about Rooster, it's an earth sign. So the niggly thing could actually be specifics. You've got an alternate way of looking at it. You can actually think undetailed about the specific points, but don't project it to other people. You can do it towards yourself and think, well, maybe I better deal with these details. You know, like now, I started studying again. And
Studying what?
Japanese.
Oh, good.
Matt's Japanese is really good. I've been here for centuries, since the Jomon era, or Meiji, whatever. And I've had to go back. And I think it could be influence of what is happening now. Now is the rooster coming in. When I say that, I'm totally wrong. So disregard what I've just said. But in fact, forget everything I've just said. So for this coming year, do be precise with yourself, but don't be destructive towards yourself of I should do this better. Just know that the rooster's attention to detail, when echoed through their work, is really good. Because rooster is also akin to Virgo, which is a very good tidier up and very nurturing towards other people. Their negative side is they're super critical. This person, I want to be like this, and they throw it away. You know, so roosters suffer from the same thing. So the precision that you do in relation to your activities or your daily life is really good. Be seen by people and know that they enjoy looking at you and enjoy that. That's it, you know. And rooster is a very lucky sign. So going back to what I was saying, according to your specific sign, know your limitations. If you're irritated, it's because of you. So you have to use it, go with it. It's not usually me, but I better go with it and get it. So, for example, the year of the monkey, I didn't think too hard because I've already got an affinity with it. The year of the horse is my enemy. It's my opposite as a rat. But
So then, what's the enemy of the chicken? Of the rooster. So this is some useful information.
I haven't got it offhand. I'll do it next time.
All right.
But for example, for the monkey, it could be the tiger. I can't remember exactly. But there are certain people who are your opposites in the Chinese sign. All you have to do is say, these are traits that I don't have. I better learn from it. You know, my opposite sign to my Western side is Leo. I'm Aquarius. So we are both male signs. At the same time, they're very they have an inferiority superiority complex, whereas when the sun is not on them, nobody loves me. They're very negative. When they're very positive, they're so generous and creative and stuff like that. So they feed me. I have a lot of friends when I was younger who were Leo. Then somehow when I got older, a lot of my good friends are Cancer because of responsibilities, and Cancer are very responsible because of family. So I got a lot of Cancer friends. And so all I would say is that the year of the rooster, the 3 points are business or work. It will be totally successful for you. And entertaining people, what you do what you want to do, look good, care about your appearance. It's fine. People will like it. It's not vanity. You just look good. You go on stage, you're with your house, you think, okay, I present everything like this. It's good. People will be inspired by it. And then the other side, the niggly side of criticizing other people, be aware.
Niggly naggers?
Be aware that will hurt you more than it will hurt other people, unless you are Virgo or rooster sign, in which case it's That's how you live. But if you're anybody else, you're getting stress from it because it's not how you usually live. But the other side of the niggly side is the precision. The details, if they're not practical, they're just you're upsetting yourself. If it's details, you will get it done, which relates to the business and the work. But don't tell it to anybody else. Do not reveal your irritating side about what you do. Bring it back to yourself and think, well, okay, I make a plan for them. And the precision that you make, they will follow. If you start saying it vocally, you're going to piss people off. So 3 positive signs are business, work, which you will be good at this year. Looking fun, know that you look good. You know, everybody looks at you, look good. And then the other side, just sort out precisely what it is you want to do, and it will happen.
All right. Well, we're going to finish up with the song here. We'll do that now.
Hello. This song was kind of inspired when I heard Madonna's Beautiful Stranger that she did for an Austin Powers film. So I kind of made that, and I didn't do it with my band Orangey. I did it with a side project called Dancerers, which is also on YouTube. Yeah. If you check out Hootsmon, HOTTSMON vlog or something, you can hear this song with me messing about at home, but we did it live. Anyway, Matt is going to do bongos with me. That's brilliant. Shall I do it? Okay.
Let's do it.
Shall I do it? You're telling me every other day that's why I come, like stopping God. Magazines closer than a feeling, we're feeling like stopping God. Writing out a principle is fine. We're the new invincibles, minding over muttering. Now we dance again. Those guns and breeze putting us to sleep, but there's no sleep like stopping God. And jealousy closer than a feeling, we're feeling like stopping gods. Writing out a principle is vain. We're the new invincibles, minding over muttering. Now we'll dance again. Stopping God. Stopping God. Stopping God. Stopping God. Stopping God. Stopping
All right, Mr. Dag, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
I'm blowing up my name with Mary. I'm combing my hair. I'm studying with you.
All right, that was the show. Of course, this is totally ad-free. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that if you've been listening for a couple of episodes? I just promote my own stuff. I might try to get some sort of thing going in the future, but I hate advertisements. I don't know about you, and I skip over them all the time. So in January, I only have one show to promote, and that's as usual my not my podcast. It's my open mic event at Gamiso in not Minami Asagaya, just normal Asagaya. So that's on the 18th of January. So come on down for that. If you're coming from out of town, just send me a message. You can look me up, Matt Bigelow, on Facebook, or you can look up Matty B Files, and there's a way to contact me. Oh yeah, you can also go to MatthewPMBigelow.com and send me a message there. So thank you for listening. Till next time, take it easy. And once again, Happy New Year. And advertisements are fucking terrible.
アイドホのことは知らないけどアイドホポテトは食べるよみんな食べるからねアイドホ来たら国立公園で月のクレーター見るんだみんな見てるからねボイシーの近くで何か食べに行こうみんな食べるからねみんな食べるからねホーチミンで会った女の子名前はセブンお気に入りの数字は11僕はいい気分セブンイレブンいい気分ちゃんビールちゃんビールタイのちゃんビールちゃんと酔っ払ったよみんな酔っ払おうからねそれであゆたや雪のチケット買って歩き回っても酔っ払ってたよみんな見てたけどねメコン川沿いに立って歴史の長さに感動だみんな気にしないけどねみんな気にしないけどねホーチミンで会った女の子名前はセブンお気に入りの数字は11僕はいい気分セブンイレブンいい気分僕の目をまっすぐ見て南に行こう南に行こう僕の目をまっすぐ見て国境の南に行こう国境の南に行こうみんないないところはいいねビゲロと同じビゲロバンの宇宙バンガローに一部屋プリーズみんな行きたいでしょプロショの宇宙飛行士とスペースウォーカーパーティーだみんな飲みたいでしょ若者って物質で地球を見たら地図で見たのと全然違うよみんなびっくりだよねねみんなびっくり